You are sitting on your porch. A cat walks up to you. She is not alone. Trailing behind her, wobbling on unsteady legs, is a kitten. She sets it down at your feet and walks away. You feel chosen. But the real answer is far stranger than flattery. This is not affection the way you think of affection. It is something older, something that predates language, predates pets, predates humans as we know them. To understand why an animal would hand you the most vulnerable thing it owns, you have to go back to a version of the world where trust was not a feeling, it was a survival calculation. Start with the cat. Cats are solitary hunters by nature. They do not live in packs. They do not need allies to bring down prey. And yet somewhere in the last 10,000 years, a small wild cat looked at a human settlement full of grain, and therefore full of mice, and decided to stay. Not because humans tamed it, because it tamed itself. The biologist John Bradshaw has spent decades studying this relationship, and his research suggests something uncomfortable. Cats never fully domesticated in the way dogs did. They kept almost all of their wild instincts intact. Which means when a cat brings you a kitten, or a dead mouse, or a half-alive bird twitching on your doormat, it is not a gift in the human sense. It is closer to a transaction between two predators. You are being treated as a member of the group. And in a cat's mind, membership comes with responsibilities. One of those responsibilities is protecting the young. Think about that for a second. A cat, an animal that spent millions of years trusting no one, is choosing to hand over her offspring to a completely different species. Why would evolution ever allow that? The answer lives inside a chemical you already know, oxytocin. In 2015, a team led by the researcher Takafumi Kikusui published a study that changed how scientists understood the bond between animals and people. He found that when a dog and its owner look into each other's eyes, both of their oxytocin levels rise. Not just the humans, both. It is the same hormonal loop that occurs between a mother and her newborn, the same chemistry that convinces a parent's brain that this small, helpless creature is worth protecting at any cost. Somewhere in the last few thousand years, that loop escaped its original boundary. It stopped being reserved for a parent and a child. It started firing between two species that share almost none of the same instincts, the same senses, or the same language. Your ancestors did not build this bond on purpose. It built itself, one gaze at a time, across thousands of generations, until an animal's brain began to categorize you the way it categorizes its own kind. But cats and dogs live inside human homes. That is not surprising. What is far stranger is what happens in the wild. There are documented cases of wild dolphins approaching boats with newborn calves still trailing blood from birth, staying close to humans in the water rather than swimming away. There are elephants that have walked toward research stations with injured calves, refusing to leave until people intervened. These are not domesticated animals. They have no reason to trust you. And yet, in a moment of maximum vulnerability, some of them choose you anyway. The primatologist Barbara Smuts spent years studying interspecies relationships, watching how trust forms between animals and people who share no evolutionary history of cooperation. Her work suggests that animals are constantly reading bodies, not words. Calm posture, predictable movement, the absence of predatory behavior. When an animal in crisis scans its environment for the safest place to bring its young, it is not thinking about kindness. It is running a threat assessment. And somewhere along the way, humans started failing that threat assessment in a very specific direction. We started registering as safe. Think about how fragile that decision really is. A newborn calf can barely swim in a straight line. A newborn elephant cannot yet control its own trunk. Bringing that kind of vulnerability anywhere near an unfamiliar species is, from a pure survival standpoint, reckless. Unless the animal has already run the numbers and decided the risk of staying away is greater than the risk of coming closer. Marine biologists who study dolphin pods have noted something else worth pausing on. Dolphins are famously selective about who they allow near a newborn. Other pod members are sometimes kept at a distance during the first vulnerable hours of a calf's life. So, when a mother dolphin chooses to surface near a boat, near people, near noise and unfamiliar shapes, that is not confusion. It is a decision made under pressure, weighing an unknown human against a known threat somewhere else in the water. Sharks, rough currents, a predator she can sense but you cannot. You are not being chosen because you are special. You are being chosen because, in that specific moment, you are the safer option. This is where the story becomes less about animals and more about you. Because the same circuitry that makes a cat bring you her kitten is running inside your own skull, just aimed in the opposite direction. When you see a small, round-eyed, uncoordinated creature struggling to walk, something in your brain lights up before you even decide to feel anything. Researchers call this baby schema, first described by the ethologist Konrad Lorenz decades before oxytocin studies existed. Big eyes, big head relative to the body, clumsy movement. Your brain built these triggers to protect your own children. But the trigger is not picky. It fires for puppies. It fires for kittens. It fires for baby elephants stumbling through nature documentaries you watch on your phone at midnight. So when an animal brings its baby to you, two ancient systems collide. Its trust circuitry, telling it you are safe, and your protection circuitry, telling you this is worth defending. Neither animal in that moment is thinking about species. They are both just running code that has existed since long before either of you were born. Lorenz called this the Kainchen schema, the baby schema, and he noticed it did not stay contained within a single species. Show a human a photograph of a puppy with an oversized head and small limbs, and the same neural reward pathways activate as when that human looks at an actual infant. This is not sentimentality. It is a bug in an otherwise precise system, a system that evolved to keep you devoted to your own children, but which cannot fully distinguish between your child and anything that merely resembles one. Advertisers know this. Nature documentaries know this. And apparently, so do cats, standing on porches with kittens in their mouths. There is a deeper twist hiding underneath all of this, and it has to do with what scientists call alloparenting. In the wild, many species do not raise their young entirely alone. Meerkats babysit for each other, taking shifts guarding pups while other adults forage far from the burrow. Elephants form nursery groups where multiple mothers protect a shared cluster of calves, sometimes called an alloparental creche, allowing individual mothers brief windows to rest or feed without ever leaving a calf unguarded. Wolves have been observed allowing non-breeding pack members to guard pups back at the den while the rest of the pack hunts miles away. Cooperative childcare is not a human invention. It is ancient, and it long predates humans entirely. When a wild or semi-wild animal treats a human as a member of this cooperative circle, it is not making a mistake. It is applying an old evolutionary rule to a new situation. The rule says, if this individual is calm, familiar, and has proven safe before, it can be trusted with the young. Humans, through centuries of contact, sometimes qualify. This reframes the entire question. You are not being flattered when an animal brings its baby to you. You are being recruited. And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. This recruitment only works because, somewhere far back in your own evolutionary history, your ancestors were doing the exact same thing to each other. Human infants are born catastrophically helpless compared to almost any other primate. A newborn chimpanzee can cling to its mother's fur within hours. A human infant cannot even hold up its own head. Anthropologists studying early hominid groups have long argued that this extreme helplessness forced early humans into intensive cooperative childcare, sharing the burden of infant survival across mothers, relatives, and even unrelated group members. In other words, the very system an animal uses to decide whether it can trust you with its baby is a system your species helped perfect on itself, long before any doodle-drawn cat ever walked up your porch steps. Anthropologist Sarah Hrdy has argued for decades that this cooperative breeding is not a side note in human history. It may be the reason human brains grew as large as they did. A brain the size of yours is expensive. It demands enormous amounts of energy during childhood, far more than a single mother could realistically provide alone, while also gathering food, avoiding danger, and surviving in a harsh environment. Hrdy's research suggests that shared caregiving, aunts, grandmothers, older siblings, unrelated group members, freed up enough energy and attention that evolution could afford to build a bigger brain in the first place. Your intelligence, in other words, may be a direct product of a species that learned to trust others with its most vulnerable members. That is the same trust an animal is extending to you when it sets its baby down at your feet. Every time you feel that small jolt of protectiveness looking at a stranger's dog, or a video of a baby otter floating on its mother's stomach, you are not experiencing a modern emotion. You are experiencing a multi-million-year-old survival mechanism, still running exactly as designed, just aimed at targets it was never built for. Which brings the story back to where it started. The cat on your porch, the kitten at your feet. She did not choose you because she loves you the way a human loves. She chose you because somewhere deep inside her nervous system, a calculation ran and returned a single result: safe, trusted, family enough. Tonight, when the sun goes down and a small animal wanders close to your door, watch what happens inside your own chest before you even think about it. That warmth is not new. It is ancient. And the strangest part is not that an animal brought its baby to you. The strangest part is that you were built, long before you were born, to say yes. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It really helps me understand what kind of content you enjoy. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you never miss our upcoming videos. Don't forget to tap the bell icon as well so you get notified the moment we upload something new. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video and what topic you'd like to see next. See you in the next video. Take care.